Hi, hello, happy Sabbath and Shabbat Shalom. Well, what you're seeing right there is the water filter. What we've got going on here, this water filter, which doesn't look that bad now because I scraped them off a lot into the containers to ensure that I get the most of the rust knocked off, and I did. But anyhow, the problem I've run into is that we had an earthquake this last week on top of a storm that knocked trees down and stuff. But the earthquake and the storm were independent of each other. The problem I've run into is that the problem we run into is that the well pump has been plugged. And so now what I have to do is I have to go and try to reactivate an old well elsewhere on the property so that we can separate ourselves from the well pump that's now clogged up. And what's going on is we're getting very slow, limited water. And if you try to use water at normal strength and volume, it pretty much runs the tank dry because the material that's fallen into the deep well has clogged up the water pump till it can't draw any water, and it may be eroding the impellers till they can't pump enough water too, because they just got drawstrings. They don't have a really good filter or anything. I won't know the actual factual condition of that well pump until such a time as it actually is pulled out, examined, cleaned, and we'll get to check the impellers and see if they're destroyed and if they have to be replaced or if it's just clogging. The way this has reacted so rapidly to the sudden change in the density of everything around it after this earthquake, I'm under the impression it's mostly clogging and not erosion of the impellers. And I'm hoping that's the truth. More on this particularly later, but I'm going to change subjects briefly and then come back to this later as I go. Now over here, changing subjects, of course, I have the big truck up at the house, and you'll see that in a bit, because of the fact we had power outage to the storm, and all this was getting rained on, and it's my gardening stuff, and it's kind of wet. I'll have to dry it out and grind it up again to make it usable for potting, but at the moment it's in here just to keep it from getting rained on. Over here, here we go. My old, I say old, this is newer technically, but this thing has, they call it a pile. It should be P-I-L-E of garbage. Anyhow, that thing decided to go crappy on me the other day when I was practicing with my guitar, my bass. And so it decided to quit working properly. It arguably now sounds like an old AM radio with a distant station. That was pretty cruddy. It doesn't play right. That was a 60-watt unit. What I have here, Rogue, I'll turn this sideways so you can see it. Rogue is made apparently in Korea, of all places. The bass unit, if I can see it in here without too much lighting issues. Hang on a second, I'll get it in here. Okay, there we go. This is a 6-channel powered mixer, RPM 806. That's the, I guess, brand of it. And it is 2-channel out, 6-channel or if you will, 12 channel, because it's one. Let me bring that down close here if I can. See, it's one patch cord and one microphone for each of 6 channels, and it's got a sub for each and then a master for all of them. It's got 2 outlets on the back. Each of these speakers has 2 on the back because it could be one of those jumper types, I don't know. And it's got, if you look at them, see the glue came off of this one. They're just glued on there, and I don't care about that because it's just a brand name. It's designed for, like, you put them on here and you put them up on tripods. Oh, I just about whacked myself in the foot. Barely missed hitting myself really painfully. Alright, so that's my PA. That's a 100-watt system in theory. I don't know if it's 100-watt max or 100 per channel. But anyhow, so that's what I've got my sound system going on in here. I did a little short video on putting that in place. Now, you can't see them right now because they're probably hiding, but right near that wellhead there's a little chipmunk coming. It's the first chipmunk I've seen since early childhood that wasn't either dead or in the mouth of a cat. Somewhere near that wellhead there. Apparently, either they've got a nest and are making a home here, or they just happen to strangely show up in the same place twice while cruising around looking for something to eat. I really adore chippers, like the bunnies, and I don't have any videos of them right now. Maybe I will someday. I don't know the future, but that'll have to wait for future because right now I don't have any. Now, getting on into flowers, we got our butterfly weed over here finally coming up. In fact, it's actually started to bloom and get through its whole cycle despite the rain and the stormage. I'm going to not go downstairs today, even though there might be some updates possible on the elderberries, because my back hurts like crazy this morning. So the white touch-me-nots are doing fairly well. The pink or purple, whatever you call them, touch-me-nots are just about done. Of course, the wild petunias are still going along. They just started. The purple cone flowers are alright. Black-eyed Susans are coming along. The yellow cone flowers haven't come out. The white, sorry, my brain went dead. Oh, I hate that. I just completely, anyhow. A minute ago I might have been able to say it, but now I can't. Alfalfa, that's it. White alfalfa. Not alfalfa. Sorry? Yeah, it is. Okay, sorry. I'm really brain dead. There's the yellow cone flowers. They're just starting to open up. Purple cone flowers got out to them first. Now, yes, the purple cone flowers downstairs are open. No, I'm not going to go down there and video them today. I'm going to circle around briefly here in different circles. The peach work that I did last week here is growing mightily. The other thing is we've gotten some pretty good rain in the last few days. And so, let me get a shot from above. That way you get more of an appreciation of the whole animal, whole plant, not an animal. I'm used to calling everything an animal. Alright, so that thing should grow up, hopefully. It's got 3 basic branches coming across it, even though there's already sub-branches of that. And I'm going to try to focus on getting the lower branches to develop. I may top that stem off later on, but right now I want the lower ones to succeed first so I don't preemptively damage it. All of everything, you notice the peonies have already completely bloomed and gone, I'll find them there on the, yeah, there we go. That way I don't have to walk out there and scratch myself up. They went and bloomed and they've already quit. One daylily escaped a deer because it was hidden behind these Queen Anne's lace. One single, solitary, lonely daylily. Because otherwise, you see they've got these stems here. The deer just come along and just bite them right off. There's a little bit of golden alfalfa over there. It's easier to say golden alfalfa for some reason than white alfalfa. Don't know, my brain is messed up. These things, I can't tell you if, without rooting around in here, if they've made any success on bearing their fruit, but I'm sure they have. Now, going back to the idea of the fact we had a storm last week, or this week, this is all part of the branches, various branches that have come down off of this individual tree here. I've never came over here but earlier because I was busy. Of course, there's the black-eyed Susans, but there are 1, 2, 3 branches all one place, busted all up from this one tree. It took a pretty good licking. Huh, how in the world did that get over here? Must have really had some strong wind. Well, that's just it. This wasn't a tornado, it's just a strong wind. So apparently it blew cans out of the can pile. Oh well, pretty stout winds. I wonder if, of course, over here the tomato was shielded from a lot of it, so thankfully it was neither blown over nor broken. And it's got loads of flowers. I got this weird curly leaf thing going on. I don't know if anybody can tell what that is. Could have something to do with too much zinc. All the sites say that it's either A, too much water, or B, too little water. The weird part is that it shouldn't be either, because this is open at the bottom, it's broken, it's cracked. Deliberately I did that because I didn't want it to flood. So in theory it can't be too much water. On the other hand, it's underneath this roof that drips water all the time. It never goes dry, so that can't be it, logically. But I'm thinking it might be a zinc byproduct from this being under zinc. Now, the last time I successfully counted here, there were 9 tomatoes. I didn't bring any regular glasses, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tomatoes that I can verify for a fact still. And they're looking pretty good. I can't be sure. We've had amazingly cool mornings, so hopefully, and then of course rain on top, so hopefully it's still pollinating and setting, but I'm not seeing any immediately new fruit. Some of these tomatoes are going to be really big in theory, quite big, which is what I like. I like big tomatoes. I like tomatoes so big you can slice off a slab and make a tomato sandwich out of them. Yes, I grew up in the country. Tomato sandwiches are a thing. Just a slab of tomatoes, some salad dressing like Miracle Whip. Not pushing the brand, but because I'm not a big fan of Kraft's globalist ideas. So the cherry tree still has some cherries. It loses some now and then, but it's still trying real hard to ripen What it has left, it loses them now and then. Needs some trimming and cleaning up some, but hopefully it'll ripen some before it loses them all. They're all like that. They're all kind of at the same rate. The asparagus is pretty much gone through its flowering stage. It's alive, but I don't know if it'll put on any more shoots this year or not. Over here, what we have is all the avocado trees and things that I had seeded out. There's 12 seeds that were from this year. I still got several more to go from this year. Last year's seeds are struggling along. This one got hit by the storm and broken. There was another over here, I think it was this one, but anyhow, one of them got hit and broke off all the way at the ground. Drain off excess water here because I've got compost tea going on. That is a couple of grapefruit trees. This one come back with a whole bunch of stems. I mentioned that before. This one here, I don't even remember if it's ever sprouted. It's in there, but it hasn't sprouted. May have to replace it. So some of them are coming back, some of them are not, or have not yet anyway. And if not, then I'll have to replant them, replant the pots. Over here, I've got really beaten up pineapple tree, fruits, seeds, plants, whatever, that I need to trim back and carefully look through them and try to do what I can. Again, they got hit pretty hard by the frost, but this one, I don't know. I don't know. It should be, they should be coming back. Their cores are looking alright, so hopefully as long as the cores are alright, the outer leaves are just ugly, and I'll just trim them off eventually when I get caught up with everything. So, things will make it or things won't. I have no control over some of it. Especially since they were fine until they got hit by the frost in the greenhouse, and that messed them up. Okay, over here again, potatoes with curly leaf on them. Again, I do not know. Now these got little bugs on them. And I'll have to dust these. I need to get my 7 dust out and dust them. These are again, there's 2 different plants in here. I need to repot them. I'm going to repot that one, and then I'm going to cage them up with some wire, and I'm going to go ahead and start putting my brain's dead. I'm going to put some hay and straw around them because they'll grow up through it, and they'll put more potatoes on. They'll root right into the hay and straw too. I might mix it with just a little bit of compost. We shall see. Now over here, I'll probably walk right past it. I did. Now the onions over here, let me see how the onions are doing. The onions, their seedlings are, some of them are losing their seeds for some reason. I don't know if it's too wet for them or what. The elephant garlic didn't make any seeds, any attempt at flowering at all over here this year, which is unusual for them. Maybe it was too wet, maybe it was too hot, I don't know. So, yeah, the onions didn't make as many seedlings this year. It is what it is. If they all die off, what can I say? I've got some in the house and I can get more. Oh, that's what I'm hearing. I kept whacking stuff and I realized it's premature hickory nuts dropping off, or either the squirrels are knocking them down or they're just falling off the wind. Of course, you see a lot of black-eyed Susans over here. We'll get another angle on these. Of course, the fleabane daisies are up. Of Queen Anne's lace. The normal daisies are going into their completion. Lots of black-eyed Susans. I was under the impression that as a sunflower that I would see Jerusalem artichoke. Believe it or not, I'm under the impression now this might be, I've still got to do more research, this might be Jerusalem artichoke. I do not know. What few wild lettuce I have around here, like that one right there, that the deer haven't gotten to, they probably will. Don't know. We'll find out the hard way. So I will circle around here just part way one more time and I'll cut back because I want to do an overhead, over the hill top shot of everything. And but I wanted to come over here and mention the celery. Okay, there's some, again, I didn't mention before, purple coneflower still coming up. Foxglove completely bloomed and went through its cycle and is gone. There are other flowers that'll come up later. The celery hasn't died yet. It had some rust on the leaves, which fungal material. But I seem to have gotten, I picked off some leaves because they had rust on them. A couple of them do. Again, that rust is a form of fungus. The plant in general seems to be still putting on new growth. It's putting up more than one stem, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Again, the idea with this plant is to make seed. The idea is to make enough seed that I can plant crops of celery in the future. May fail, but that's the idea. So hopefully it will go up, flower, and produce some seed and produce more celery. So yeah, that's pretty much where it is at this point. It's still growing. Right here where I'm at right now in Arkansas, this is pretty much a record for me. It's the first time a celery plant's lived this long. It's the second time in my life that I've successfully raised celery, because the last time was in Wisconsin. Much cooler weather and many hardships and potentially rooting, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of celery stalks, because I ate a lot of tuna fish salad with celery, and therefore I used lots of celery in it. And so I rooted celeries on a regular basis in quart mason jars. And before I left Wisconsin, and I was forced to leave behind 24 actual celery plants. I have no idea what became of them. They were in the office of, maybe more than 2 dozen. It was only a dozen. But anyhow, it seems like it was 2 dozen, like 24 of them. And they were just growing proverbially like weeds at that time. But the person who was still in possession of them, if I'd have had the money, they offered me well over $1 million worth of rare Buick parts for just $25,000. And I would have taken it all if I'd have had even just $25,000. They were on the run from the law, and I guarantee you that they held clean title to everything they held. It'd be like, you just turned everything you got over me, but I didn't have the money. Plus, it would have taken more than that, because the other problem wasn't just that. It was the fact that I'd have had to pay storage on all the various places. Somebody say, well, what were they in trouble for? Well, since you don't know their name, I don't know that I could be gossiping to be saying that they were in trouble for cocaine trafficking. They had millions and millions and millions of dollars in antique Buick parts that would today be worth even many more millions of dollars. Just absolutely, I don't know what happened to all those parts, but they were just a genuine fortune, and I had first dibs at them, and I could not come up with $25,000. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any investment pull or anything, and there was just no way I could come up with $25,000. Because I assure you, I'd have locked onto him. I'd have got him by hook or by crook if I could have, because, you know, I mean, I'm not even a big Buick fan, but I don't hate Buicks, but they're just, these were super rare. By the way, that's yellow-eyed and black-eyed Susans over there both, and then, of course, cornflowers, fleabane daisies. This thing is finished blooming for the year and put on new growth. The catalpa hasn't put on flowers yet. Let's see what the... Oh, I keep wanting to tell you I know what they are, but I don't know what they are again. I've already forgotten their name. Starts with a G, right? I think. See, that's how bad my brain is. I see these things all the time and I keep forgetting what they are. Gladiolas, that's it. They're growing, but they're not yet flowering. What can I say? So you can see the difference between yellow-eyed and there's a different name for it. I think it's called a sun. Somebody call it a sun daisy? It's part of the sunflower. All these yellow flowers are sunflowers in here, even though some are yellow and some are black. And then, of course, the coneflowers are echinacea, different general family of flowers. And then, of course, purple touch-me-nots, still blooming. If I said they were done early, I didn't mean it to be that. They're kind of getting in past the middle, towards the late end of their blooming, I think. And I'm not an expert, I could be wrong. And forsythia never bloomed a single flower this year. I was kind of keeping an eye out for it, but they didn't. My asthma's kicking in today. Boy, I got so many problems. My spine's hurting, and my asthma's kicking in today. So this butterfly weed apparently just showed up quite recently. The other butterfly weed has been there a long time. It is a perennial. This one I have never seen before this year, even if it was here before. This is a flower that, again, right off the edge of our property. Mom says it's part of the clover family, apparently part of the Lespedeza family. See, the deer have been biting tops off of some of them. They like the flowers for some reason. Maybe they're sweet, I don't know. Little tiny beelets. Little tiny bees on them. Anyhow, there's apparently some kind of clover type material plant, and they're already open over here, but down there, just a few yards away, they're not. Now, other than the touch-me-not, the horse mint has come up. Horse mint's already come up and putting on pretty little flowers here. Over there, let me see if I can find it here. There we go. A little stand of them out there that I'll eventually come through and harvest. The horse mint, arguably, if you don't let it reseed, everybody says it's a perennial, but yet it seems not to be. Now, on the topic of flowers on that particular area, these little critters here, part of the sunflower family, are doing really well along that whole ridge line. Just can't get the tops in focus for some reason. The flowers themselves, there we go. But they're there, they are there. Just kind of figure out how to keep the camera on them, there we go. They're hard to get from this angle and this distance. And they're not showing up near as brilliantly on the camera monitor as, let me see if I can zoom in on that one particular very pretty bright coneflower. There we go. Downstairs they're much brighter than upstairs. But that one is much brighter than all the others upstairs around it. And so I'm hopeful that whatever, it's a nutrient thing, I'm sure. Of course, here we've got our, that looks brighter in the camera than it does in person. The yucca plants blossoming pretty much in full swing. Here we get right up to it. And a bumblebee. Isn't that neat? As long as you don't disturb them, they're all focused on their food. Just let them eat their nectar and make their babies and pollinate the plants. So now there is a really concentrated colony of fleabane daisies. Clearly way too much zoom, but they're so thick and lush. I have to wait till they completely go dormant before I go and mow that area. The tea rose, climbing rose, is going through its final throes of throes of rose. Anyhow, so yeah, it's going past its blooming stage. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. That's neat. Alright, now we're going to wander our way through here. By the way, we'll get a quick shot of those from this angle. They're partway done already. It's kind of hard to get them all from there because of the fact that they're getting pretty good and thick in here, and so you get up in here and see if I can get a better shot from here. Not really. Yeah. Anyhow, they're nice. They need to be laid out properly, which means because they've got up to a 24 to 28 inch taproot, so to dig them up, you got to be super careful that you don't hurt them. So, you know, unlike irises that are just like right at the surface, and you can practically pull them up with a spade. All right, well, again, back to the topic of trees down. The mimosa tree lost a branch during that same storm. I gotta get in here and finish cutting all that up and getting it out of there. Over here, our black raspberries have they've begun to ripen a little bit. And they're just really flavorless. Yep. Don't taste like anything. They're not tart, they're not sweet, they're not anything. Just a volume of water around a seed. Of course, the Rose of Sharon hasn't opened up yet, any of them. There's a lot of the black raspberries here. The dayflower has come out. First bloom that I've seen all year. So the first dayflower for this year for our farm. You can see these stems, these are dayflowers coming up. They've been mowed before, which may or may not have set them back. I mowed in here partly to cut back the excess persimmon shoots, and partly just to make it where you could walk around without having too many ticks on you. Not sure if it really controls the ticks or not. But I will harvest a whole bunch of those black raspberries for whatever good it's worth. The reason for that extension cord was over here was so that I can get over here and take the Sawzall, since none of my chainsaws are working right now. But we'll probably end up using it elsewhere at the moment. The cord anyway. The blackberries, the tame blackberries, at the moment, due to the abundance of rain and the bees, have really been putting on the fruit. Now how much of it makes it to fruition, to maturity, I don't know. Here's a neat little flower that shows up now and then around here. Don't know what it's called. Another one of the many flowers around here that I don't know what it's called. Of course, more fleabane daisies, more Queen Anne's lace. Getting a better view of from the bright side, the yucca plants. Yeah, from the sun bouncing off of them. These flower plants, which I still don't know the name of, have been propagating around. It's hard to see them all before they're in full bloom because they're skinny and everything, but they're around up and down through here, and they're spreading, thankfully. I like them. Everybody likes them around here. They're really pretty. And getting back into fruit momentarily. Let me skip the fruit just a moment and go over to the mountain bog gentian. It's been having a really hard time, unfortunately, and I don't know what the problem is, but the problem is. Now, if you remember last week's report, this thing had 4 stems on it. Well, in a period of 1 week, it is not only down to only 2 stems, but one stem is kind of wilty. One stem is not wilty, one stem is wilty, but it's still here. So I've got it over here just a little bit, hoping it'll stay there until it fruits and everything, but it may not. If it gets any more shrivelly than that, I'll go ahead and pull it off. Something knocked it off. Now you may not have noticed, but this big pile of rocks here I put here specifically for 2 reasons. One was to hopefully reduce the chances of anything coming through here again and hitting it like that. Can't imagine what would have climbed up here and knocked it down, but 2 stems were broken off. One is already over in a plant potter that you may or may not have seen, and one is over near the house, which we'll go by here in a minute. So hopefully we can save some of them and maybe even root in some new gentians, I don't know. But otherwise we'll end up with just one stem this year, and then we don't know if it'll make any seeds or not. The black oil sunflower seeds have been flowering and growing, but the first one over here, apparently somebody got a hold of it and bit it off. So the difference between a black oil sunflower seed is that the middle of it is actually green at the moment until the radial flowers themselves come through. Whereas the yellow-eyed Susan and the black-eyed Susan are, well, yellow and black early on. That one is green in the middle. Pretty near the only way you can distinguish it. Because other than that, they look pretty near identical. I mean, they're a little different. There's a little difference in the foliage. There's a little difference in the stems. The stems on the black-eyed Susan are very dark, whereas the stems on the yellow-eyed Susan are green but smooth, and the stems on the black sunflower seed are green, but they're also got little, I don't know, they got little frilly, little feathery pieces growing up them, which I can point out from a different flower, which may or may not be Jerusalem artichoke. Now, getting over here briefly to fruit, we got our grapes. This grape vine all along here, one very large, well-delivered grapevine from one base, grew really super fast. I don't know if it's because of the fact that it's along this water flow or what, but it has set a considerable amount of fruit on it this year. How much will stay, we don't know. And it lost a beautiful branch full of fruit from some unknown force, whether it's hail or wind or just some other force, that it lost some fruit. We'll see. Some of them are really loaded. Some are just totally stacked with fruit. That one is really exceptional compared to the rest. And so that's looking quite promising. Several vines, there's a vine down there that got pulled back and the babies ate some of the lower branches off. They haven't pulled the vine down, so it has generally been pretty successful in setting fruit higher up. And it was a larger grape, as in instead of being like a quarter to 5/16, it was like 3/8 to a half an inch, so a much bigger fruit. Now this thing, while it just was loaded with flowers, and it's still trying to flower right now, but it lost almost all of its flowers like that this year again, and I don't know if there's anything I can do at all. Wish I knew more about them. But it is admittedly in a bad place because a bunch of the rain comes along and dew fall and comes and falls on the flowers and pretty much wipes it out. And I've got a plan for how I could resist that to some extent, but it's not a surefire thing. But you see here the flowers have just completely shriveled up and they're like, nope, we ain't doing it. But a little further away they're still trying. So whether it sets any fruit at all is still up in the air, but it won't be much, I'm sure. And any of it is sets. See, there's some completely unopened blossoms. But if it rains just wrong or right or whatever on them, then it may still not. And I don't know, because this got still stems coming out, and it may still keep flowering, and it may still have a chance to set fruit. It's just totally unknown. Funny thing is that the grapevine is so dominating the scenario that the tiger lilies, although they're about to bloom, you'll see this tiger lily is bent over, and then of course looks like the baby's got a hold of the top of that tiger lily and bit it off. Several of them. That's why the sheet metal's there, is to kind of help resist that, but they're devoted little critters to eating. I mean, they do what they're designed to, and that's eat and grow. So I try to train the grapes this way, and I try to fence off the area for the tiger lilies. See, up here I've been training this vine along here to hopefully grow. I'll get this up here a little bit. A little at a time, train them along here and get them to grow up on top of the roof and get back up where they need to be. Alright, now getting on to this other vine over here, which is relatively late bloomer. See all the wasps over here? Some kind of wasp that came up now, ran off. Well, I suppose it's better than them stinging me. But yeah, there's a bunch of wasps going crazy around here. And I just got to figure out a way. Mud daubers and other stuff that I've got to deal with. So this one is finally opened up. Now, in the past year or so, this thing has really put on loads of fruit. I intentionally put the leaves over when I can, just to keep the rain off the flowers, even the dewfall. This thing put on loads of fruit last year in other places, even after it got hit by the frost. So hopefully this one this is the last one in this area to bloom. There's one downstairs, I don't know if it started blooming yet or not. And then some of these are hopefully, like these, if they bloom and set fruit. The problem they have, of course, is there's not much sunlight down here. And it keeps struggling to make growth, and it keeps withering as it goes, especially when it comes in contact with the zinc of the roof metal or the heat or something about the roofing up here. Seems to kill it off, but it's growing under here under a canopy, which on the one hand keeps it from getting any sunlight, and on the other hand allows it to be out of the rain. So pluses and minuses. If this was a clear canopy, the only problem is then you get sunburn down here. But I say get a sunburn, obviously, but it keeps the rain off of you, but it would allow sunlight into the plant leaves. Over here, again, same thing. A certain amount of inflorescence is open. They're opening slowly. They are dependent upon a lot of factors, according to what I read. The hotter it is, the sooner they'll pollinate. The colder it is, the slower they'll pollinate. On the other hand of it, for me, one problem is I've got other plants that need it cooler to pollinate, and like especially tomatoes like it between 50 and 75. These things apparently like it between 80 and 100. So total unknowns. Now over here, no significant changes from last week. Got silver and gold right here in the camera. Got Caroline and Jumpy Jeff over here. We got Mocha and Daisy. And Ginger is silver and gold's mama. These two is mama. Yeah, the babies. I gotta feed them here after a while. And over here we have Chestnut right there. We have Snippy Snap right there. And then we have Samantha back there behind that chewed up fence wire. And they're all theoretically pregnant. They've all formed udders and are all pretty swollen up. We don't know how long it is till they're due, but in theory they should pop any day. There's no question that with the udder formation, this baby is very much pregnant with at least one. She may only be pregnant with one, but that's fine, as long as it's healthy. One healthy versus a bunch of sickly or dead is preferable. Yeah, she can't have my camera. She's gonna lick the lens. Now the fields themselves, plenty of water over here from the rain. The Bermuda grass is propagating well. The cabbage, clover is doing well. Whatever those yellow flowers are, I read up on them and I already forgot what they are. over there, while the grass is still surviving, it's getting pretty well chewed up. But again, if you look over there in the corner, there is some knocked down tree branches over there right there. Pin oak lost a branch. So we've got branches all over, and I did a report out on the road earlier in the week about that. Got a wild lettuce in here. I thought about picking it, but if it survives long enough, it's a large one and it'll hopefully lay out some good seed. I could probably put a mesh or something across there and keep them off of it. You'll notice that all this is cut back because the babies reach over the fence and bite the seeds off. They eat whatever they can over a fence because they're crisis eaters. Up there, of course, there's a grapevine that hasn't borne fruit yet, but it's actually fairly old. It's just been cut back and worn down some. I say fairly old. That might be inaccurate. It might only be like 3 or 4 years old now, which is not very old since grapevines can live over 100 years. So this whole thing is bearing fruit and everything. Flies everywhere, unfortunately. They're not looking that bad this morning on camera, but they are pretty bad anyhow. Goldilocks is standing on top of her mama there. So I show up, and then she's going to come and try to stand on top of me. Jumpy Jeff, here's a Jumpy Jeff. Here's a Jumpy Jeff, here's a baby. Here's a Jumpy Jeff. So, other than that, we have, of course, I did put out the house plants this week, and they're doing better out here in the steady rain, except the ones that are still struggling. I meant to show you the gentian breakage over here. It's been up here in the water for a couple days. It's not doing super well, but it hasn't died yet. Don't know if it'll root, but it's in here for better or for worse. It's still green. So maybe it'll root, maybe it won't. No promises. No idea myself. I just hope. I have no idea. But anyhow, it's everything from mother-in-law's tongues, wandering Jew, and spider plants in here, all in the rain, which it keeps me from having to water them too. Over here we have Papa Bear and Mighty Mutt. Unfortunately, so far, Mighty Mutt has continued to be blind. And it's not just that his eyes are closed, it's when they're open they don't see anything because he apparently has cataracts. Papa Bear, he just needs to be nursed, milk bottle fed because he doesn't have a mama that makes any milk. That's why he's alone and doesn't have 2 sisters that he was born with. But Mighty Mutt is pretty much just surviving and recovering from some kind of mysterious urinary tract infection problems that really did him a hard turn. He's a total baby, but he'll eat your fingers off like all of them, and he'll eat your nose and everything, so you gotta be careful that you don't let him bite your fingers off. We have them in cages because we just can't have them running all over the place, peeing, pooing, and eating all the goodies that are not goodies. Because they eat everything. They'll eat anything. Papa Bear got free of everybody's administration here one time not long ago and was trying to chew through wires, live hot electrical wires. Fortunately, he did not succeed before he was caught, or we might not have him now. Now, just to make it short, I do have success with recovering some of the trees and plants in there, but I'm going to have a hard time of it for a while now because of well pump problems that are going to make it really hard for me to continue at the moment to get in there and water those. because of the fact that our well pump is having issues. But other than that, I mean, some of them, the cacti won't have any problem. I don't know which ones will have problems, but I will have to make effort to carefully water them to make certain that they don't, dehydrate. Various avocados are coming back. Some of them haven't. We shall see what we shall see. So basically, that's pretty much the end of my report for this week, and I will try to publish again next week. So you all have a wonderful Sabbath.